The stars laughed. At least that's how it felt to the few humans left who still cared to listen. Across the galaxy, at every council meeting and trade station, the jokes always ended with the same punchline: humanity. They were called the backward species, the apes of Sol, and even worse. The galaxy had moved on, and Earth had stayed silent for decades. No ships, no messages, no activity from the solar system. It was as if humans had simply vanished. Many believed they had destroyed themselves. Others thought they just gave up. The galaxy didn't miss them. At the Galactic Council, a tall, blue-skinned diplomat slammed a datapad onto the table. "Another decade, and still no human signal," he said. The chamber echoed with laughter. Perhaps they evolved back into monkeys. Or maybe they finally realized they were never meant for the stars, another joked. The laughter continued. Even the robotic delegates emitted sharp, synthetic chuckles. No one in the Great Hall cared about the humans anymore. They were just a funny story, a failed species who thought they could compete with the ancient empires of the galaxy. But behind the laughter, something was missing. No one had gone near the Sol system in years, and no one dared to explain why. Some said the solar system had become cursed. Others whispered about ships that vanished when they entered the outer rim of human space. But no proof ever came. So the galaxy kept laughing. Far from the council, on a dirty trade station near the edge of neutral space, an old alien trader named Vielo leaned over a table. His eyes scanned a strange signal, a deep, slow pulse that came from somewhere past Neptune. It was buried in noise, almost impossible to hear. But it was there, and it had rhythm, patterns, words. Old Earth. Code Vela wasn't a fool. He remembered the days when humans walked among the stars. He'd done business with them. He'd seen their ambition. And he knew one thing: they never gave up. So why had they gone silent? He sent a message to a friend in the Information Guild. It was simple. "I heard a whisper. From Earth." But the message never arrived. A week later, Vilo's ship was found drifting in deep space. No signs of struggle. No crew. Just a strange black dust coating the interior. The council marked it as an engine failure, but some investigators found one final log from Vilo's ship. It was a recording only 5 seconds long. A shape, a shadow moving across the stars. Something impossibly big. The footage was locked away. The council didn't want panic. They told the public it was a false alarm, a glitch. But rumors began to spread. Whispers of something awakening in the Sol system, something built, not born. On a far-off moon called Zareen 6, a group of students watched old Earth videos for fun. A popular channel made jokes about humans all the time, their strange languages, their small ships, their obsession with war and music. One of the students, a young scientist named Laren, paused the video. He leaned forward. "Do you ever wonder why no one goes to Earth anymore?" His friends laughed. "Because there's nothing there. It's a ghost system." Laren didn't laugh. He zoomed in on an old satellite image from before contact was lost. In the shadow of Saturn's rings, he saw something strange. A perfect line. Too straight. Too large. "I think we missed something," he whispered. That night, he broke into the university archives and pulled classified scans from long-range probes. The data was clear. Something massive was orbiting Saturn. But it wasn't a moon. It wasn't an asteroid. It was hidden under artificial shadows. Its surface gave off no heat. It was invisible to most sensors. Laron sent the data to the Science Council. He expected excitement. Instead, they arrested him for spreading false information and threatening galactic peace. The council didn't want to believe. They couldn't, not after all the jokes, not after all the years of mocking Earth. If what Laron found was real, then humanity wasn't gone. They were preparing. On a quiet listening post near the Kuiper Belt, an automated probe picked up a sudden burst of energy. A pulse of gravity, strong, sharp, focused, like a muscle stretching after a long sleep. The AI monitoring the post tried to contact the relay station, but before it could send the alert, the signal was lost. The last recorded image was a ring of light spreading outward, like a ripple in space. The image was sent to the military archive, buried under encryption. Even the generals weren't told. Then the disappearances began. A research vessel investigating Pluto's orbit failed to report. Then a mining colony on Titan went silent. A deep space drone exploded the moment it crossed the line of Uranus's orbit. No warnings, no distress calls, just silence. Back at the council, fear began to grow. The mockery stopped. Now they asked questions. What if humans didn't vanish? What if they just went dark? A military scout ship was dispatched, fast, armed, and ready for anything. It never made it past Neptune. One last message was received. We see clouds, not made of gas, moving, watching, and then nothing. The council declared Sol system off limits. They called it unstable, dangerous, but behind closed doors, leaders from multiple empires met in secret. They had seen something in the last image sent by the scout ship, a structure, massive, bigger than any known station, floating silently near Saturn. The image was blurry, but it looked like a mountain range, made of steel. One warlord spoke. That's no station, that's a ship. Another whispered, it's a planet. Someone else said, it's both. The last image zoomed in on what looked like a surface panel, thousands of meters wide, opening like a flower. Inside, a core glowed faint red, like an eye. Then the screen went black. Far away, beyond the edge of the galaxy, an old human satellite drifted in darkness. It hadn't sent a signal in over 50 years. Now its lights flickered on. It turned, aimed its dish toward the stars, and broadcast a simple message. Humanity lives. We never stopped building. We only waited. Now, we rise. The signal was received in over 400 systems before being blocked. The panic was immediate. Trade routes to the Sol system were cut. Emergency alerts spread. Civilian ships were warned to stay away. Fleets were placed on alert, but it was too late. The galaxy had already laughed, and Earth had already answered. From deep beneath the clouds of Saturn, engines the size of cities began to stir. Old Earth music echoed from buried speakers, soft, haunting, and slow. The galaxy once joked that humans dreamed too big. Now they would learn. Human dreams are dangerous, and the warship was waking up. The silence of space was broken by a faint, desperate call. It came from the edge of the solar system, a place no one dared visit anymore. A small exploration fleet, sent by one of the neighboring star systems, had gone missing. The last signal was short and unclear. It spoke of something enormous moving, in the dark. Then the signal stopped. The Galactic Council scrambled to send a rescue mission. Ships faster than anything before raced toward the lost fleet's last location. When they arrived, they found something strange. Not a battle. No explosions. Only broken pieces of metal, scattered like fallen leaves across the void. The ships were not destroyed by weapons, but were cut apart, clean and silent. A lone survivor was found floating inside a damaged escape pod. His eyes were wide with fear. He whispered words no one understood at first. He spoke of a giant floating continent made of metal, moving silently in space. It was so big it blocked out the stars. It did not belong to any known race. It was Earth's secret. Back on Earth many years ago, a decision was made. The humans would not fight the galaxy openly. Instead, they would build something so large and hidden that no one would suspect its existence. This secret warship had grown slowly, hidden under Saturn's rings, protected by shadows and silence. The survivors' words sent a shock through the council chambers. How could a planet-sized ship have stayed hidden for so long? The galaxy had laughed at humanity's weakness, but now they were forced to rethink. Something powerful was waiting. Far from the council's fear and politics, In a small, dimly lit room on a distant moon, a young scientist named Laurent stared at the same images. He had found them months before and tried to warn others. Now, those images were no longer secrets. The massive ship was real. It was moving. The council tried to hide the truth from their citizens, but news leaked quickly. Traders refused to enter the outer solar system. Some ships turned back mid-flight. Fear spread like wildfire. The galaxy had never seen anything like this before. A new signal came through, not from the lost fleet, but from deep inside the ship itself. It was a voice. Calm, strong, human. The message was clear and simple. We built this to protect ourselves. We ask for peace, but we will defend what is ours. The galaxy held its breath. What did this mean? Was humanity ready to fight? Or had they truly built this warship as a shield? No one knew. The council ordered more fleets to watch the ship's movement closely. Every system held its breath, waiting for the next move. Meanwhile, on Earth, the people watched the stars with quiet pride. For years, their leaders worked in secret, preparing for the day when the galaxy would laugh no more. This warship was their answer to a universe that had forgotten them. As the ship slowly turned, its great engines hummed to life. Lights flickered on its massive surface, and strange patterns of energy flowed across its hull. It was alive. Not just a machine, but a guardian born from human will and hope. In the shadows of the galaxy, whispers spread among the alien races. Some feared the power of this hidden giant. Others wondered if it was a sign that humans had changed. The galaxy had underestimated them for too long. One thing was clear. The EU age of laughter was ending. A new chapter had begun. The galaxy had no idea what was coming next. The galaxy watched in silence as the giant ship slowly moved away from Saturn's rings. It was impossible to ignore now. Its size alone was a mystery, but what puzzled everyone more was its calmness. It did not rush. It did not attack. It simply drifted, like a sleeping giant waking after a long rest. On board the ship, deep inside, its core, a group of humans moved quietly. They were the keepers of this secret, a crew chosen not just for skill but for their belief in the future of humanity. They were ready for whatever the galaxy might send their way, but their mission was clear: protect their home and seek a peaceful path forward. One of them, Commander Mira, stood before a wide viewing window. She looked out at the stars, her mind filled with questions. Would the galaxy understand why they built this ship? Would they see the hope behind its creation? Or would fear drive them to react without listening? Far away on a council planet of a powerful alien empire, the news of the ship's movement caused tension. The leaders debated endlessly. Some believed this was a sign of danger, while others thought it was an opportunity for diplomacy. They had heard the message, a request for peace. But trust was hard to come by after centuries of conflict and misunderstanding. A young ambassador named Terran was chosen to lead a mission to make contact. He was known for his calm and open mind. Unlike many others, he wanted to understand humanity, not fear them. His ship was prepared, filled with gifts and messages of goodwill. Still, uncertainty hung in the air like a thick fog. The journey to the human warship was long and quiet. Terran spent hours studying every piece of information he could find about Earth and its people. The more he learned, the more he realized how little anyone really knew. The galaxy had judged humans based on old stories and prejudices. Now, those stories were changing. When Terran's ship finally came within sight of the great warship, he was struck by its beauty. It was not just a weapon or a machine. It was a monument to human creativity and resilience. Lights glowed softly on its surface, creating patterns that seemed to tell a story. The ship moved like a living being full of purpose and grace. A voice came through the communicator, warm and clear. It belonged to Commander Mira. "Welcome," she said. "We have waited a long time for this moment. Let us talk, so we can find a way forward together." Terran felt a mix of hope and fear. This was history in the making. He replied, We come with open hands and open hearts. Let us begin. As talks started, the galaxy outside held its breath. The great ship stood between worlds, a symbol of what could be if fear was set aside and understanding was allowed to grow. Back on Earth, people watched the skies with hope. For decades, they had waited for a chance to show the galaxy who they really were. Now that chance was here. The galaxy had laughed before. But now, it was time to listen. And maybe, just maybe, a new future could begin. The talks between humanity and the alien ambassador moved slowly but surely. In the quiet chambers of the massive warship, words carried weight, and every phrase was measured. Both sides knew the future of the galaxy might depend on what happened in these moments. Commander, Mira paced the room, thinking of all the possibilities. Could they really change the minds of centuries-old enemies? Could a ship, built in silence and shadow, bring peace to the stars? She looked out at the vastness of space and felt the heavy responsibility on her shoulders. Tarek, the ambassador, was no less troubled. He had traveled far hoping to find answers. He had met many races, each with their own fears and hopes, but nothing prepared him for the sight of the human warship, a giant born from hope and caution. Their talks revealed truths hidden for so long. Humanity had been watching, learning, preparing. The galaxy had judged them by the stories told, in haste and fear, but those stories missed the truth. Humans were not reckless warriors. They were patient, thoughtful, and determined to protect their home. The ambassador shared stories of other star systems, where wars had scarred the skies and left worlds empty. He warned that trust was fragile, and peace even more so. But he also said something unexpected, that the human ship had changed his mind. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance for something new. Back on Earth, the news spread slowly. Some people feared what the future might bring, while others felt a spark of hope. The galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humans would stay hidden or finally step forward. As days passed, more ships arrived. They were not soldiers but messengers, scholars, and traders. Curiosity grew. The warship was no longer a secret. It had become a symbol. It told a story of quiet strength and patient waiting. Inside the ship, new conversations began. Scientists from many worlds shared knowledge. Artists and storytellers spoke of dreams and fears. For the first time in a long time, the galaxy listened. Humans showed the true meaning behind their creation. The warship was built not for destruction but for protection. It was a promise that Earth would not be forgotten. It was a beacon of hope standing tall in the dark void. Outside, stars shone bright as if celebrating a new dawn. The galaxy had laughed at humanity before, but now laughter was replaced with silence, an expectant silence filled with possibility. The future was uncertain. There were still fears and doubts. But for the first time, the voices of many races joined in one hope, that peace could grow from this strange and giant ship born of Earth's will. The galaxy held its breath once more, waiting to see what would come next. The galaxy was changing. What once was filled with fear and doubt was now slowly turning toward curiosity and cautious hope. The great human warship, once a secret hidden in the shadows, had become a beacon, drawing attention from far and wide. Commander Mira stood on the bridge, watching ships from many different worlds gather nearby. Scientists, diplomats, and explorers, all had come to see the human giant and learn its secrets. It was a moment unlike any other in galactic history. The ship's quiet power was not in its size alone but in its promise. It spoke of protection and peace, a new way to live among the stars without fear. Mira often thought about the years spent building the warship in secret, how the people of Earth had worked silently, preparing for a future no one could yet imagine. Ambassador. Tarek had become a bridge between worlds. His early doubts had softened into respect and understanding. He knew the galaxy had much to learn from humanity, and maybe, just maybe, they had something to teach the universe about patience and hope. But not all were ready for change. In distant systems, old leaders whispered warnings. They feared the unknown, worried about the power Earth now held. Some sent spies to learn more, hoping to find weaknesses. Others plotted to keep humans in the shadows, afraid that peace might upset the balance of power. Despite these worries, more and more voices joined the chorus of peace. Races once at odds sent envoys, eager to join a future where war was not the answer. The great ship became a symbol, not of fear, but of possibility. Inside the warship, life was busy and full of purpose. Humans and aliens worked side by side, sharing knowledge and dreams. The ship's halls echoed with conversations about science, art, and culture. It was a place where differences were celebrated, not feared. Then, a new message came from Earth's leaders. They spoke not just of defense, but of exploration, of reaching beyond the known together with the galaxy's many races. They wanted to build a future where every world could grow and thrive. The galaxy listened. Ships prepared for long journeys. New alliances were formed. The great human warship was no longer just a secret weapon. It was the heart of a new movement, a chance for the stars to shine brighter than ever before. And so, as the warship moved slowly through the blackness of space, its lights shining like a promise, the galaxy held on to hope. The laughter had stopped. A new story was beginning, a story of unity, courage, and a future made together. The galaxy seemed to hold its breath, watching the giant human warship sail slowly through the vast blackness of space. It was no longer just a machine or a secret. It was a symbol of change, of a future where fear might give way to hope. But the road ahead was still unknown, and many questions remained. Commander Mira stood on the bridge, her eyes scanning the endless stars. Every decision weighed heavily on her heart. She knew that trust was fragile. The galaxy had spent centuries in fear and misunderstanding. Would they be ready to accept a new way? Or would old fears cause them to turn away again? Far from the warship, Ambassador Tarek prepared for a journey unlike any before. He was to travel to the heart of the galaxy, to meet with leaders of many races in a great council. They would decide if peace could truly take root, or if the galaxy was still destined to live in shadows. Tarek felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The memories of past wars, the losses, the pain, they all lingered. But he also carried the hopes of many. The great human ship was proof that change was possible. It showed that even the smallest voices, like those from a quiet planet called Earth, could rise to make a difference. As the council meeting began, voices filled the grand hall. Some spoke with fear, warning that the unknown was always dangerous. Others spoke with hope, inspired by the story of humanity's patience and quiet strength. The debates were long and difficult. Old wounds were reopened, but so were new paths. Meanwhile, on the warship, life continued in quiet determination. Scientists worked to share technology and knowledge. Artists told stories that crossed species, and children of many worlds played together in the halls. The ship was no longer just a fortress. It was a home, a place where the galaxy's diversity could come alive. News came from the council. Slowly, one by one, more races agreed to join the peaceful future. Treaties were signed, alliances formed, and the galaxy began to breathe with new life. The giant human ship became a symbol, not of war, but of unity. On Earth, people watched the stars with hope and pride. They had waited so long for this moment, the chance to be part of something greater, to show the galaxy the true strength of humanity. The galaxy had laughed before, underestimating humans. Now, it was time to listen and learn. The great ship sailed onward, a quiet guardian lighting the way for a future full of promise. And so the story of the human warship came full circle, not as a tale of fear, but as a beginning of hope.